Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Yosenju Yugioh deck profile for July 2020. Since the release of my last update for the Yosenju deck, I definitely wanted to do a version of the deck that focuses more on the control aspect of the level 4 Yosenju monsters. My last Yosenju deck profile focused on the pendulum monsters and being able to pendulum summon out all the different Yosenju monsters, including the 2 boss monsters we now had for Yosenjus, including the original dieback and the newest one we received in Rising Rampage. But I feel the control variant that uses more traps with the few Yosenju monsters we have that can return to the hand for just consistent normal summon plays to consecutively normal summon all the different Yosenju monsters to be definitely the more competitive of all the different versions for Yosenju. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the Yosenju monsters, I am running 3 Yosenju, 1. If this card is normal summon, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon 1 Yosenju monster from your hand except for 1. If you control another Yosenju monster, you can target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. This effect can only be used once while this card's face-up on the field, and during the end phase, if this card was normal summon, you can return it to the hand. It's a mandatory return like all the other Yosenju monsters are running, but then next turn you can just normal summon them all back out onto the field to reuse again. So it's very interesting playstyle, which you can easily, swarm the field with a bunch of different Yosenju monsters and use all their different effects to definitely, deal a lot of damage to your opponent, or just, use the different plays to bounce cards on their field, or even search out cards from your deck as well. And I'm also running 3 Yosenju, 2, having the same normal summon effect, being able to immediately summon another Yosenju monster from your hand by the effect of this card. This card can attack your opponent directly, and when it does, you using this effect, it deals half the battle damage inflicted to your opponent, and during the end phase, if this card was normal summoned, return it to the hand. So the half battle damage works very, very well, just for the fact that our next Yosenju monster is Yosenju, 3, with this one having the same immediately after normal summon effect. So with these, you can summon all 3 of the different Yosenju, monsters onto the field. And then with this one, when a Yosenju monster inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can add 1 Yosenju card from your deck to your hand, except for Yosenju, 3. So it says Yosenju card also, so you have options for all the different spell and traps we run in the deck, but just being able to go from Yosenju, 1 to 2 to 3 on the field, bounce something with 1, attack directly with 2, and then after inflicting that damage, being able to search something with 3 is the basic combo for the deck. And you didn't special summon at all, they were all normal summons, so any other cards that restrict special summoning doesn't come into play either, because you're free to just summon all those monsters, use all the different effects, and at the end of the turn, they return to your hand for you to reuse again next turn. For some of the lower numbers for the Yosenju monsters that I run, I also run 2 Yosenju Yugioh. During the end phase, if it was normal summon, you can return it to the hand. During either player's turn, when a Yosenju monster you control battles an opponent's monster, you can discard this card. That monster gains 1,000 attack until the end of turn. Or you can target 1 Yosenju monster on the field, it gains 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. So with the additional normal summon effect, you have that boost effect, but you also have the option for Yugioh to be dropped from the hand if you have, like, say, a full field of Yosenjus already. Just having that option, but it doesn't really add as much for the actual normal summon play, so I'm only running the 2. If you open multiples of this card, you have to at least have some of the other Yosenju cards in your hand to, get that continuous normal summoning onto the field of all your different monsters. And then for some of the newer Yosenju cards, I'm only running Yosenju Izna. The other one we received from Rising Rampage was more for the bigger, pendulum boss play. But with Izna, with this one, it has the same return effect. After his normal summon, you can discard this card. On this turn, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a Yosenju monster is normal or special summoned. And if you control Yosenju monster after this card, you can draw 1 card. The draw power especially comes in handy because you're going to want to rely on back row to protect yourself as well during your opponent's turn, but just being able to rely on Izna for the fact that you can drop it from your hand, summon out all the other different Yosenju monsters, and have no fear from your opponent's plays is another big help for sure. But only running 2 though. Once again, the 3 main ones are your go-to plays. The other ones just add as added backup for them. And I also run 2 Yosenju Shinshu L for just its basic pendulum effect. If a Yosenju monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy this card instead. And also, it does count as a face-up Yosenju card, so if you use your Yosenju's secret move with this card, by controlling that Yosenju card, you don't have to have your monster on the field to at least be able to use the counter trap during your opponent's turn also. And that is it for the monsters. Like I said, for this version, we're going mostly for the control aspect of the Yosenju deck. No big pendulums aside from Shinshu L, which help just to protect our Yosenju cards and, use our spell and traps we have on the field. For the other pendulum variant, not much has changed from it. I may do an update on it later on down the road. But for now, I just wanted to focus because I did promise this version of the deck a while back. And like I said, been having a lot of fun just with the control variant also. But moving on now to the spells, I'm running 3 Yosen Training Grounds. Each time a Yosenju monster is normal or special summon, place 1 Yosen counter on this card. You can move any number of Yosen counters from this card. Apply this effect depending on the number of Yosen counters removed. 1 counter all Yosenjus currently control. You gain 300 attack until the end of this turn, even if it leaves the field. But if you use 3 counters, you can add 1 Yosenju card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And it says Yosenju card, so once again, spells, traps, monsters, you name it, you can search all of them with this continuous spell. That can easily just stay on the field as well. And I also run 2 Yosenju Wind Worship. If you control 3 or more Yosenju monster cards with different names, return as many Yosenju cards you control to the hand as possible. Then you can draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. You can activate 1 Yosenju Wind Worship per turn. This draw power, they're going to be returned to the hand at the end of the turn anyway, so just being able to benefit more from that draw power with this card is especially useful. If you at least return, 3 or more, it's that draw 2 power that definitely comes in handy, giving you potentially more monsters in your hand to use, or just that draw 5 for additional cards for you to set onto the field as well, so you can avoid it at the end of the turn and just go for the return then after your card's already attacked. And the Yosenju monsters are also all Beast Warriors, so I'm running 3 Fire Formation Tenki just for that easy search, depending on what Yosenju you have in your hand. Potentially being able to just search for any of the other ones you need, and vice versa, makes it so Tenki is definitely a 3 of in the deck as well. And I also run 3 Pot of Duality. With this one, it's your go-to searcher. It is a once per turn, but I still like running it at 3 for the fact that you can reveal any of the other Yosenjus you need if you have the search play with your Tenki. Being able to grab any of the other Yosenjus with Duality and not be limited because Duality says you can't special summon, because you can still go comma 1, normal summon, comma 3, and then summon comma 1, which if you have all 3 in your hand, you always want to go the ascending order just for the play as well. But 3 Duality, definitely a big staple for the deck for all that search power, and potentially some of the other cards we run as well in the deck. For the one-ofs, I'm only running 1 Dimensional Fissure and 1 Card of Demise. Definitely feels weird not running, Monster Reborn or Foolish Burial in this deck, but being more of the control base deck, you don't really need any of those cards for the setup. Card Demise works great for the end of turn, return for your Yosenju cards, so the discard play can go into effect first, and then add back the Yosenju monsters to your hand, so you don't miss out on discarding any of those cards with the use of Card Demise. And Dimensional Fissure will basically, affect your opponent more, since you mostly won't have any monsters going to your graveyard unless you use the extra deck, and just be able to focus on your opponent having a lot of their monsters banished by your Yosenju monsters attacking into them. And that is it for the spells. We'll now move on to the traps. The traps definitely do take up a big number of all the different cards in the deck. I'm running 3 Yosenju's secret moves. When a spell or trap or monster effect is activated while you control at least 1 Yosenju card, all face-up monsters you control are Yosenju monsters. Negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. So basically, while you control at least 1 Yosenju card and all face-up monsters, so as long as you have that setup, which is why I also like to run the Shinshu L's for the fact that it is a protection card for your Yosenjus, but just having that face-up card as an option, and a counter trap being able to counter, Solemn Warning, Solemn Strike, Solemn Judgment, you name it, just having this option, great effect for sure, because you want to make sure that your summons for your Yosenju monsters goes, without fail. Or let's say you use your Izjik, I believe, or Izna is the name of the card. You want to make sure that when you're attacking with your Yosenju monsters, because Izna only stops the, normal or special summon play, as long as you have this, if your opponent activates a trap when they attack, you can still stop them and have the Yosenju's attack go in successfully. And I also run 3 Yosenju's Sword Sting. If you control no monsters, reveal up to 2 Yosenju monsters with different names in your hand, then target the same number of face-up cards your opponent controls, return them to the hand. You can activate 1 Yosenju Sword Sting per turn, which works perfectly because you're returning all the different Yosenju monsters to your hand after their normal summon. So being able to, have them in your hand for this resource, and then especially when your opponent, let's say, uses extra deck monsters on the field, return them to the extra deck, gets rid of all their resources they invested in those extra deck monsters as well. And I also run 2 lose 1 turn. Activate this card only if you currently control no special summon monsters with the Yosenju deck. Very easy to accomplish. And during your turn that the monster was special summoned and effect monster is special summoned in attack position, change it to a defense position. So it just negates the effects, but also if it's a monster that can be changed to defense position, lose 1 turn will help to shut down those plays. I only run the 2 though because link monsters are a thing. You want to make sure you can at least negate the effect, but they'll still be able to attack since they can't be switched into defense position, but still a great option because you won't be special summoning too much, just in the options when you need to with this card. And I also run 3 Drowning Mirror Force with all the back row that you can have in this deck. This one, especially since you will rarely have any monsters on the field with your opponent wanting to attack you directly, Drowning Mirror Force, shuffling them all back into the extra deck, makes it so you have this card and also your Sword Sting being your main, counter-attack cards against your opponent. And just like Dimensional Fissure, I'm running the 1 Macros Cosmos just for more banish plays. Your opponent, especially if they rely on the graveyard a lot for their plays, this will definitely hurt them whenever they try to do any of their plays by having no resources in the graveyard to use. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run the 1 Lightning Chidori, probably my favorite rank 4 to make, just so easy with all the different wind monsters we run being the Yosenju monsters. Having the bounce power, especially, and then the face-up card, returning that to the top of the deck. Very, very useful. And then the set cards to the bottom. An easy exceed to make as well. Also, I run the 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Tornado Dragon, 1 number 101, 1 Gaga Cowboy, 1 Castel, 1 Utopia, and 1 Utopia Lightning. Rank 4s are definitely very strong, and with Master Rule 5, just being able to summon them in the main monster zone as well, a big plus for sure. And for the Link monsters, I run the 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, the 1 Wind, the Wind Charmer, 1 Great Fly, 1 Cross Sheep to go well with the Exceed plays, 1 Underclock Taker, and the 1 Nightmare Unicorn. As for the actual go-to plays for the Yosenju deck, as long as you know the actual monsters and what their effects do, if you normal summon them and then use their additional effects, as long as you make full use of all the different plays for the normal summon, and if you set up the proper back row with cards to negate your opponent's cards that could destroy your cards, ones that will set up when they attack, or just ones to bounce back their resources to their hand, with that setup and all the different Yosenju monsters attacking your opponent, bouncing, searching, and just being able to attack directly against your opponent, you should have no problem just picking up this deck. It's a really, really fun control deck, like I said, and if you're looking to build it, and I might eventually work on an updated version of the pendulums as well. I know my big focus when I made the pendulum deck was to, one day build a control version of the Yosenjus. Finally glad that I got around to it, and I hope you all enjoyed the video as well. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.